That's a YouTube video for anyone that wants that up-to-date content. Yeah, what we thinking? What we thinking? We thinking Max is going to be leading into turn one? It's usually what happens. I worry for Lando just because he hasn't had the best of like starts recently, so I do worry for him. So we'll see. We'll see if we can if he'll be in the lead at turn one. Hopefully. I think he has the pace, Lando, to win the race. For sure. It's a tight track, though, to overtake on. So, I mean, Lewis, for instance, he's going to have a nightmare. He's gained one position because he obviously qualified 12th, then was thrown to 15th because of his penalty, which I do think was harsh. How can you watch the real match? Well, it's not a match, Susan. It's a race. It's bots then. Yeah, it's quite a hard race, quite a hard track to overtake on. I think Lewis's penalty was harsh. People are saying that he should have moved out of the way sooner. I think he moved out as much as he can, and there has to be some leniency for that. But there's obviously not. And I think there wouldn't have been a block if Perez wouldn't have gone deep into the corner. I think it was his own fault, but it is what it is. So, obviously, Lewis takes the penalty, puts him to 15th, but then Albon was disqualified because of his floor. The volume was too big, so he was disqualified, which put Lewis up a position. And I think Kevin Magnussen is having to start from the pit, so that might put Lewis up to 13. So Lewis might actually only be starting one place further behind where he was. So Albon, there was something wrong with his floor. The floor was too big, or it was out by a little bit. From what Williams have said, according to their measurements, it was fine. But according to the FIA's measurements, it wasn't. So there's a discrepancy between their measurements and the FIA's. And we're talking millimeters here. It wasn't a lot. Oh, there you go. 3 millimeters it was. So, I mean, we're talking, you know, may as well be nothing in our world, but in Formula One, it's everything. So, yeah. But Williams were adamant that their measuring device, it was fine. So, yeah. We'll see. Well, that's it. I mean, you can't argue it. It's a slam dunk. Even if you could prove that your measuring device was wrong and it was an honest mistake, it doesn't matter. It's still illegal. So Pat Fry's right in the sense of they just have to accept it and be like, okay, yeah, move on. It is what it is. It doesn't matter the reason. It matters, you know, that it was out, which sucks for Albon because he had a really good qualifying. So it does suck, especially when the driver's done nothing wrong. And like I say, we're talking 3 millimeters. He's not going to be gaining performance from that, but the rules are black and white for a very good reason. You know, there can't be any interpretation. So it seems harsh, but it is the way it is. Juice, how you doing? Good afternoon. I think Lando's going to win this race. folks. I think McLaren has good pace. But I can't rule out George Russell smashing into Lando and Max Verstappen into turn one. I can't rule that out, you know? I just can't rule it out. I mean, to be fair, that's a little bit unfair. I don't remember the last time George Russell had a turn one incident, actually. It doesn't happen very often. One sec. Logan Sargent's under a bit of pressure as well, isn't he? Like, there's talk now that he might be replaced. I mean, he's having a bit of a rough time. Obviously, it can't be good. People obviously talking about replacing you, and then he's been replaced for next year now, and they're bigging up Carlos Sainz and how much better it's going to be, and then you crash. Ugh. And putting Mick Schumacher in the car seems like a weird decision to me, though. He was crashing Haas's left, right, and centre. So I don't think they'd put Mick in the car. It says Lewis is starting 14th. So he isn't starting 13th. He hasn't gained from the Hulkenberg penalty. I really like Mick. I really do. I just think Mick would be an odd choice to put into that car when you've got someone that's crashing a car and you want to sort of shore it up. Is Mick Schumacher the person you go to? I'm not sure it is. You know what I mean? So. It's going to be an interesting race. Doesn't look like there's going to be any rain. It's a bit overcast there, though. Doesn't look super sunny. One sec. Okay, so Lewis is starting on the softs. Now, I heard that soft hard was a valid strategy, but everyone else pretty much is starting on the mediums. Who we got? Sonoda, Hamilton, and Joe Guan Yu are starting on the softs. Magnussen's on the hards because he's starting from the pits. Everyone else is actually on mediums. Afternoon, Shock. Lando bins it to... He's not going to bin it, is he? Is he? No. He won't bin it. No. We mustn't. No. It would be a bit of a story if Russell won after what happened at Spa, wouldn't it? I don't think Mercedes have got the race pace, though, to tell you the truth. This is common practice, Alfonso. What people do is they watch on Twitch. Well, they watch on YouTube. Normally, talk in Twitch because of the YouTube player. You could pause and get it synced up. It's pretty good for that because a lot of people watch through, online streaming and what have you. My broadcast tends to be reasonably quick without much delay. Oh, baby. Right. As always, I'll tell you when the lights go on. They're lining up on the grid now. Hey, just quickly, Perez had a decent qualifying as well. I mean, admittedly, he's behind cars he shouldn't be behind, but he's not in 10th, is he? He's in 5th, so it's a lot closer to where Red Bull expect him and want him to be. So, fair play. There's Mick. There's Mickey boy. Very slow lineup on the grid. Horner's looking nervous. Right. The last car's lining up on the grid. Two, three, four, five. Go. Oh, terrible start from Lando again. Oh. Yeah. Jesus. Lando needs to be working on his starts, man. He needs to be working on his starts. Again, he doesn't lead. He loses positions on the first lap, you know. Yeah. No, Max didn't have a bad start. But Lando had a particularly bad one. Race isn't over though. McLaren have got good pace. It's not like it was in the beginning part of the season, you know, that it's not like that. Yeah. Oh, you mean both McLaren? Sorry, yeah. Yeah, Piastri, you're right. Piastri didn't have a great start either. Russell got ahead of Piastri. DRS is enabled, but obviously it'll be a bit of a train for a while, so. Oh, what a move from Lewis. That was on Sonoda though, not Danny Rick. I'm sure Crofty said that was. I'm sure that's Sonoda, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is Sonoda. Yeah, Danny Rick's in 15th. Yeah, it was a wild, wild first lap, sort of like down the grid. Piastri is now all over the back of George Russell, though. Again, I'm not worried if Max pulls away a little bit early doors because we've seen that McLaren are really good in the second phase of a race. So I'm not concerned about that at all. If Max builds up a 3, 4, 5 second lead, I'm not. It doesn't really concern me because we know that McLaren are really, really good in the second phase. So. It might just be, this might be, I think, well, it probably will be a strategy race, to be honest. Perez all over the back of Charles Leclerc. Hugenholtz. Bit dusty there on the... it's quite close to the beach, though, this circuit, isn't it? So the sand probably does blow in. Hmm. Hamilton's in a long DRS train now. It's going to be a tough afternoon for him, I think. So, last time across the line, Verstappen did a 16.4, Norris did a 16.3. So they're matching each other at the minute. There's no, I think they're just managing their pace. The fastest strategy around here, I think, is a one-stop. So, be interested to see if most teams do that. We'll see. Quite a wide line into turn one there from Charles Leclerc. Such a bad start from Lando, sorry. And as you say, from Piastri. If honestly, if Piastri had a better start, Lando would have been in real trouble. Yeah, he had a lot of wheel spin. A lot of wheel spin. Yeah. Once again, Lando loses positions on lap one. Oh, he had so much wheel spin in the first phase and the second phase. Oof. Great move from Gasly. Great move from Gasly. Oh my god. K-Mag. That is not what he needed after starting from the pits. So, Max has been told he's doing good, so they're on pace. 16-2 for him, 16-3 for Norris. Russell is now holding position pretty well. A hat in the gravel. Yeah, I mean, Hulkenberg was in that gravel quite a few times during practice, wasn't it? They were having some sort of brake issue. Was that Sainz on Alonso? Yeah, I think Sainz just got past Alonso. Hmm. 2 secs. Sorry. It's a weird message to Lando, isn't it? Why are they even asking him that? Good move for Hamilton there. He needed that. He needed that. It's a bit of a tactical race so far. Verstappen's got past Norris at the start, So they're kind of holding station. To me, it looks like the race is between Verstappen and Norris. Russell's dropped back, and Piastri doesn't quite look like he's got the pace to get past Russell at the minute. Yeah, Alonso with a bit of a train behind him, but that's nothing. That's nothing new, is it? It's actually the thing is, this is going to be tough for Hamilton because the person behind Alonso is Stroll, and I don't think Stroll's going to try and send it on Alonso. So Sainz is making positions. He's going to get past Gasly now, and he's going to end up back in 7th. Oh, I say that, but Gasly's not giving him it. Gasly is not giving that to him. And I don't expect him to, but... Great racing, though. Great racing. Sainz makes it work. Gasly fought that. He didn't just let him through. He didn't wave him through. Oh, Ferrari are on plan A for once, guys, with Charles Leclerc. Oof. Plan A? Absolute madness. They're not on plan B, D. It's crazy. Oh, he had to get out of it. That's why he lost a bit of momentum. Good racing, though, from Gasly and Carlos Sainz. Hamilton's now stuck behind 2 Aston Martins, so that'll be a fun time for him now for the next 10 laps. If Hamilton can get past Stroll and Alonso, then everyone else isn't in DRS then. So, he could, in theory, make some progress, but it's easier said than done. You've got Lance Stroll, who's in DRS of Alonso. So it's going to be really, really tough. DRS train all the way. Tough track, really, to have a bad qualifying on because it's just a very windy circuit without many overtaking opportunities. I'd say there's really 2 proper overtaking opportunities, and that's after both DRS zones. Into the banking of sort of turn 3, kind of, but you have to have already really been fighting at turn 1, so it's kind of by the by. So, Norris is currently now closing in on Verstappen, though. So last time around, he was 0.3 quicker than Max, and he's almost within DRS. So Lando has decided to pick the pace up. Albon's pitting. Yeah, Stroll has just fallen out of DRS. Oh, he's lingering, though. He's lingering in and around it. It's hard to read sometimes with the timing screen because obviously it flip-flops around and it depends where he was at the detection point, but... Yeah, Lando thinks the pace is strong, so he's got plenty. I think their race pace is good, McLaren. It's just unfortunate for him that he, he lost a position at the start. Hamilton's past Stroll now into turn 1. So Norris is now in DRS. And I think Max is genuinely starting to struggle. So I think, Lando's pretty good at this by now. He loses positions at the start and then he just plays, just plays it smart and just waits. Although he's back out of DRS now, so Max, Max finds some time in the middle sector. So fair play. What do you think of this gyro cam, gimbal cam, whatever they want to call it? What do you guys think of it? I don't like it, I don't think. I don't know. I think I like seeing footage of it, but I don't necessarily like seeing it on the broadcast all the time. I don't know. Hulkenberg Sonoda pitting off the medium tyre. So do you mean you like the normal onboard current so you can appreciate the banking, or you like the gyro cam? I agree. I like the normal on board as well. I like seeing the gyrocam every now and again. Like it's cool, but I just don't like it being the regular on board. I'm not sure. Did Hamilton get that move done on Alonso? He did. Alonso was pretty kind to him there. I think Alonso could afford that a little bit more. As Bottas pits Hamilton up to 9th. Albon with the fastest lap. Go on, lad. Oh, Lando on Max. He's well in DRS. Max goes defensive into turn 1. Oh, baby. Now we're going. Now we're going. Okay, baby. I feel like the Red Bull's pretty good, though, in the middle sector, it seems, which is weird because they were terrible in this sector during the practice. But this is where Max just pulled out 3/10 in that middle sector, which means that Lando's not close enough to him on the final 2 turns. Logan is in 15th, yeah. Yeah, but to be fair, that's because loads of cars have pitted, Shock. Hulkenberg, Bottas, Albon, Sonoda, all pitted, which is why... Oh, he's going to get him, yeah. Hey! Max tries to fight it, but you're not fighting that. Norris back into P1. And the Dutch fans go wild? I mean, there's not much Max could do. He tried to fight it, but there's not much he can do there. The Dutch fans go mild. Yeah. And the Dutch fans go mild. I like that. So Piastri's well out of DRS of Russell now, who did a really good job early in the race, I think, George. Because George is on the podium currently. Piastri has dropped out of, or dropped away from Russell, and he's actually in the clutches of Charles Leclerc now. So, yeah, what they don't want is for Verstappen behind to pit and undercut them. And he can do that because you can't. He can just see if you're pitting and then just come into the pits. So they want to avoid that by potentially stopping before him. So, yeah. We'll see if they do it. I wonder if they'll do it. But likewise, you don't want to pit too early if you don't need to. So I think they've got enough pace that they could get past again. I think Max is particularly good through that middle sector, despite the Red Bull seeming to suck there over the course of the weekend. That's where he's keeping the McLaren honest. He's quick through that middle sector. Yeah, Hamilton's done 19 laps on those soft tyres, and he's still going pretty quick. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure how, considering Hülkenberg, Albon, Bottas, and Zhou Guanyu all stopped, and they were on mediums. Max is out of DRS now. Yeah, Max is out of DRS. Hamilton's caught up to Pierre Gasly. I think he's too far behind, though. I don't know why Crofty is trying. He knew full well she meant switch positions, as in positions on the steering wheel. Why is he trying to? Idiot. Oh, here we go. Charles Leclerc right on Piastri. Yeah, because if Lando can pull away, he covers himself from the undercut, which is exactly what he wants, right? Hamilton's still not able to get past Pierre Gasly, though, which is weird. It might be his tyres are finally done, you know. Because he's breezed past everyone else. Yeah, I think his tyres has probably gone. Because Hamilton's losing a lot of time in traffic now. He was sort of 17-ish seconds. Now he's like 24. He's losing a lot of time behind Gasly. Yeah, he's dropped out of DRS now. Well, he's dropping in and around, in and out. They're probably looking for a pit window for him. But, like, he's losing time to Alonso behind him now as well. Because he was 3.5, 4 seconds ahead of Alonso. Now he's only 2.7. I think it's time for them to pit him. He's losing too much time. Good racing from Gasly there. Solid racing. Last time across the line, Hamilton did a 17.8. The leaders did a 15.7. I mean, his teammate did a 16.7, to be fair, but still. Charles Leclerc on Piastri. Oh, he's sticking his nose in there. Careful. Yeah, Max Verstappen's now 3.6 seconds behind Norris, and he's saying on his radio that he can't go any faster. As Hamilton pits, there you go. Makes sense, he had to. Goes on to the hards. Problem is, for Hamilton, he's now behind Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, all these, and Ricciardo, these guys that he's already overtaken once. Are they? Oh, they're pitting Ferrari, so they're pitting Charles Leclerc. I mean, it looked like a really slow stop, but it wasn't. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast, or whatever the saying is. They're going to box George as well. Hamilton's got past Yuki Tsunoda straight away, which he needed to. So I think Charles Leclerc is going to jump Oscar Piastri here. Piastri needs to pit. I don't think Norris needs to because he's 5 seconds ahead of Max. And he hasn't. So they're going to pit George Russell. George Russell isn't a threat to Verstappen, so they don't need to react to that. It's ever so slightly slow stop for George Russell, but nothing too extreme. Charles Leclerc is ahead of George Russell. Yeah. Charles Leclerc's got ahead. Wait. Yeah. I mean, so Charles Leclerc is definitely ahead of Oscar Piastri. 100% now. They probably don't care that much, though, because they're just going to run their own plan at McLaren, which is, fine. But on track, currently, Piastri will be ahead. Piastri will be behind Charles Leclerc when they both pit. When both the McLarens pit. Hmm. That DRS down the straight didn't put him ahead of George Russell, Crofty. He was going to be fast enough to get ahead of George Russell, even with that DRS down the straight there. Hamilton passed Ocon, I want to say. Yeah, passed Ocon. A little bit easier for Lewis, or should be a little bit easier in this stint, because he's on new tyres now, and the cars that he's in and around stopped a long time, well, reasonable time ago, and they're a bit more spread out. So he can actually utilize DRS a little bit easier. So Red Bull are going to pit. They're going to pit Max Verstappen. It's not really a threat for Norris. They can box Norris next lap. Not an issue at all. 6 seconds is not in danger range. And what I mean by that is he can pit next lap and it won't be a problem. $14.5 for George Russell. He's right behind Charles Leclerc now. Perez currently on the podium. Norris boxing now. I tell you what, he left a lot of time on the table at pit entry there, Norris, but he didn't it wasn't critical, but he left a lot of time on the table there. Slow stop. 3.1 seconds, but again, he'll still be fine. There'll be loads of margin. Hmm. Five seconds. Norris is now ahead of Max Verstappen after the pits. I mean, this is Norris's race to lose, surely. Surely. These cars, I think, are going to have to start. The ones that are on the medium are going to have to start pitting soon. As Perez pits. Oh, a terrible stop for Perez. Terrible stop for Perez. I say terrible. It felt like he was stationary for ages. It was 4.4 seconds, which in reality isn't, it's not a lifetime. Well, in Formula One it is. Obviously, it's a 2 second slower than it should have been. But it felt like it was a long time stationary. That's why Gasly was so close behind George going into the... I don't believe Gasly, Alonso, or Stroll have pitted. So, looking at this, Piastri, Sainz, who's pitting now, Gasly, Alonso, and Stroll haven't pitted. Nor has Ocon and Tsunoda. They're still running the mediums, done 30 laps. Ooh, Sainz and Perez. No, Perez will get him. Just. So, Hamilton is now in 10th place. Okay. Hamilton's now in 10th place. There's 2 cars in the top 10 that haven't pitted yet, though. Gasly and Alonso. So, when they stop, he will get ahead of them. He's actually only 4 seconds behind Sainz and Perez. Now, Sainz obviously started in 10th in the end. Perez started 4th. Like, what? So, I mean, not ideal for Perez. Yeah, yes, you're right. Kevin Magnussen has done 30 laps on the hards. Yeah, so Kevin Magnussen hasn't stopped yet. They're now boxing Fernando Alonso. I wouldn't say he's having a shit show. He, you know, to be fair, he lost a few seconds there in the pits. I wouldn't say he's having a shit show, but I wouldn't say he's massively quick either, you know? So you still got Magnussen to pit, Gasly, and obviously Piastri. I'm not sure what McLaren are achieving by leaving Piastri out for this long. Last time across the line, he did a 16.5. Norris did a 14.3. What? I'm not really sure what they're doing with Piastri, why they're leaving him out so long. It's a hard track to overtake on. Surely track position is more important around here than 4 or 5 lap younger tyres. Surely. Unless I'm misunderstanding, he's going to be behind Leclerc and George Russell when he comes out now. I mean, he might even be behind Perez. No, he won't be behind Perez. So they're going to box him now. I mean, Piastri's almost a full pit stop behind Lando Norris now. I just feel like they've fucked Norris. They've fucked Piastri a little bit here. I don't think it was necessary to leave him out. Obviously, he'll have younger tyres. But we're talking 4 laps. Is that really going to make a difference? I don't think so. I'm not convinced that tyre delta is going to be of any use whatsoever. Because it's too much to gain, isn't it? We'll see, though. We'll see how it works out for him. He's gonna fall, you know, obviously behind Charles Leclerc. We knew that. He's going to fall behind George Russell as well. He won't fall behind Perez, though. So now we're going to see what pace he has and if he can get back past Russell and Charles Leclerc. The problem I have here is that this feels like a defeatist strategy because he now needs to have to work his ass off to get back to 3rd. Why are his engineers not pushing for him to get 2nd and 1st? You see what I'm saying? I feel like that strategy, he was never going to be able to win the race from there or even get 2nd. I don't know. We'll see. Albon's up to 11th, which I'm very happy about. After his disqualification, he has done 21 laps on those hards, though, so he is going to have to stop. Guys behind him have already stopped Gasly, Alonso. So he's still got plenty of work to do. Yeah, they've noted the Gasly unsafe release. Good lap from Carlos Sainz last time around, a 14.8. Verstappen did a 14.7. Norris is 8 seconds ahead of Verstappen, and we're only just halfway through the race. I mean, I don't want to be this guy, because it's a different winner, but it's a bit boring, isn't it? I think Sainz is catching Perez a little bit. Not. Oh, maybe not last time around. I feel like Hamilton won't make much more progress now because he's matching sort of the times, doing similar times to Sainz and Perez. He got himself up to 8th, and the cars ahead of him are 2 Ferraris, 2 McLarens, and 2 Red Bulls and his teammates. So, I mean, it's going to be very difficult to get past those. I don't think he'll have the raw pace to do that. So I think that's where he'll likely end up. But Norris just did a 14.3. Piastri did a 14.2. Verstappen did a 15.1. Like, Leclerc 15.2. Russell 15.1. Like, oof. For instance, as well, Perez did a 14.8, Sainz did a 14.7, but Hamilton was 0.3 slower. He did a 15 flat. So I don't think Hamilton's got the pace to match Carlos Sainz and Perez ahead of him. I think they'll probably slow Lando down at some point because there'll just not be a need to go that fast, you know? Yeah, Charles Leclerc is having a really good race because he got... Oh, Stroll speeding in the pits. Lol. He got ahead of Perez early doors. He's now got ahead of Perez and Russell in the stops. Well, he's currently ahead of Piastri as well. Charles Leclerc is having a really tidy race, actually. The question is, though, Piastri. Oscar Piastri is now 1.7 seconds behind George Russell, and he is flying. He's a second quicker than George Russell. So we're gonna see. Just gonna grab a water. I am listening. I cooked some brownies this morning, guys, but I haven't actually tried it, how they've turned out. They're looking lovely and gooey, though. Not sure if that's going to focus. Mmm. Oh, yeah. Piastri passed George Russell. Want to see what they taste like. Mmm. Oof, look at this fight with Albon. Albon, Alonso, Gasly around the outside. Ooh. Hmm. That's some good shit. Sainz is within DRS of Perez now as well. Guys, do you think Piastri actually can get... You know, I think maybe I was chatting shit earlier. If Piastri carries on this pace, he could actually get Max Verstappen as well. Hmm. Okay, they turned out really good. Oh, come on. Come on, Alex. Just racing, isn't it? That's just racing. What's he talking about? So, Piastri half a second quicker than Charles Leclerc last time around. He's catching him. Hamilton's dropping back from Carlos Sainz. Yeah, Merck does look better. Well, last time around, George Russell did a 15.5. Lewis did a 14.7 there, which was a lot better for him. George just did a 15.4. Lewis did a 14.7 again. Not great pace from the Mercs on the hard. George Russell's not looking great. Because I think, well, Perez is actually... Last time around, Perez was 0.6 of a second quicker than George Russell. So that's going to be interesting. We've got to keep an eye out for that. It depends, really. I mean, they've they've got time and a gap to pit Hamilton at any point now if they want to. And I think they'll only do that if they think there's no point that they can catch. But they might very well pit him at the end and put a set of medium tyres on, which he hasn't run. And just let him have at it, because why not, right? Yeah, they don't look quick. Like Perez again. George Russell a 15.6, Perez a 14.9. Perez is catching George Russell by like 7/10 a second a lap. Something's going on with George Russell because he was almost a second slower than Lewis Hamilton on the past 2 laps. Something's going on with George Russell. How did Norris get back past? He passed him on track a while ago now. I haven't heard any team radio, but his pace is much slower than everyone else around him. Let's just see what it's like next time across the line, because Perez wasn't much quicker last lap. Piastri almost behind Charles Leclerc. Yeah, Piastri's 100% getting past Charles Leclerc. It's just a matter of when. And then the question is, can he catch Max Verstappen? If he carries on this pace, he will. Absolutely. Why are they talking about safety? They're talking about safety cars early, I suppose. Well, I don't know what Sainz is doing. He's just not able to quite make it work. To be fair, that Red Bull's probably deploying all its power as well. George Russell did a 14.9 last time, so he stabilized. Whatever his problem was, he stabilized. And Hamilton went the other way. He did a 16 flat. Had an absolute fucking nightmare lap. I think pitting Lewis and putting mediums on wouldn't be a terrible idea. You know, he's got a gap, a huge gap to Hulkenberg. I mean, he's not catching Sainz, so he's not going to lose anything, is he? Oh, Charles Leclerc. Was that Leclerc? No, that was Sainz. It was Sainz, I beg your pardon. That was Sainz blitzing past Perez. Woof. I thought that was Piastri and Charles Leclerc. It was a nice move by Carlos. I wonder if Sainz can catch George Russell. That'll be interesting to see if he can catch George Russell. Piastri on Leclerc. Piastri is now right behind Leclerc. Plan defend. Plan defend. Don't let him through. Don't let him through. He's gonna bait him off. So, currently, I don't think Sainz will have the pace to catch George Russell. I think George Russell's stabilized a little bit. Whatever problem he had, whether it was a problem or, you know, he was just managing or whatever. But he was very slow. God, yeah, Sauber, the only team to not score a point this year. And they're running dead last. So Piastri he's caught Charles Leclerc, but he hasn't managed to get past him. Now, this is important for his race because he's... Oh, they're pitting. They're pitting Hamilton, yeah. Makes sense. There you go. They've listened to us. Are those soft tyres? Oh, yeah. They're putting softs on, yeah. No, I don't think it is. It's 22 laps, 23 laps on soft tyres with low fuel. He did 25 laps at the beginning of the race on full fuel, so I think it's fine. So yeah, Piastri has got 22 laps. And if he wants to catch Max Verstappen, he has to get this move on Charles Leclerc done. And he's caught him, but he's not been able to actually get past. Charles Leclerc running a really good race. Really good race. Oh, they were gonna pit a Red Bull and they've gone back in. Thing is, Sonoda and Sargent here will move out of the way, but it might very well give... No, Charles Leclerc did not get DRS. Logan Sargent running in 16th place, not dead last, and he's only 2 positions behind his teammate. So, I mean, that's good. Right? Right? Oof, 13.8 from Hamilton on those new softs. I mean, he's not going to catch Perez. He's not going to catch Perez, but it was just a no-brainer. There was no point in not giving it a go. Like, was there? He wasn't catching Sainz, and he had a pit stop. You may as well try something. Yeah, do you know what? Piastri's struggling now. He's dropped out of DRS. I'm very impressed with Charles Leclerc today. Very impressed with him. Do they risk it for a biscuit? God, Norris fucking sent it there. Jesus Christ. You didn't need to. McLaren will gain once more on Red Bull in the constructors. It's little by little, but it is gaining on them. I mean, Hamilton only did a 14 flat last time. It's only a second quicker than Perez on old hards. I mean, it's not great, is it? It's only 6/10 quicker than Norris on old hards. Right, okay. Piastri's well out of DRS now. Well out of DRS. In other news, Carlos Sainz has gained considerably on George Russell. He was 6/10 of a lap. He was 6/10 quicker than him last lap. George Russell's just coming up on a lot of back markers, though. Do you know what? Sainz hasn't had a bad race, though, either. Sainz hasn't had a bad race. I think he's done well, Carlos, working his way through. He's had a tidy race. Yeah, I think Ferrari definitely quicker than Mercedes this weekend, yeah. They're boxing Russell. Okay. I mean, they've got gap, haven't they? So they'll put him on softs. They've given Sainz that position, really. I mean, Hamilton's pace isn't great. After the first couple laps, it's not great. He did a 14.3 last lap on the softs. Norris was doing 14.5s on mediums. So, I mean, last time across the lap, Hamilton's pace wasn't good at all. I mean, Russell could catch Perez, but he was already ahead of Perez. I don't think that was necessarily needed because I think Sainz would have got past him, but I don't think Perez would have. So I'm not sure that was necessary, but we'll see. We'll see what sort of pace he has now. I don't think Perez had the pace to get past him. I think they were going to lose to Sainz, but I don't think they were going to lose out to Perez. And if I remember, he was holding cars back. He was holding Piastri back at the beginning of the race really well. So, I don't know. They've given up the track position there. Let's see how that works out for them, Treacle. Not been a great race for Mercedes, really, has it? They haven't quite had the pace, I don't think. You know, they've struggled a little bit with the race pace. It's not been, I don't think it's been great. I think George definitely been quicker than Lewis. And Lewis obviously had a lot of traffic, so it's hard to completely judge, but they're on the same tyre now, and I think Lewis is not really getting the most out of those softs. Let's see if Russell can catch Perez. He's probably going to need about 10 laps, I think. I'll be honest, I thought Piastri was going to blitz past Charles Leclerc. The pace that McLaren had, I am really, really surprised Piastri hasn't got past Charles Leclerc and got up there and challenged Max. That's a shock to me, that is. Antipodeans. I've never really heard anyone using that phrase before. So how much quicker was Russell than Perez? Last time across the line, 2 seconds. And Russell was 0.3 quicker than Hamilton. Apparently, they're running different setups for Mercedes. George Russell's running a lot less downforce, so he's quicker on the straights. In theory, Lewis should be quicker in the twisty bits. Well, they are running slightly different setups, supposedly. Gasly's another one that's had a really good race. He's defended well. He's had a couple of very clinical overtakes. Gasly's now is running in 10th and he's fighting Hulkenberg for 9th. Hulkenberg's tyres are 44 laps old, though. And I think Gasly will breeze past down the straight. Another really good race for Gasly. Very, very tidy race. I think he's had a good race. Carlos Sainz has had a solid race. Not so much Perez. Gasly will make that work around the outside with the extra grip. Oh, there you go. Lovely. Brave. Really nice move. I would say my driver of the day, you'd have to have Norris because he has run a very good race. Been much quicker than anyone else, including his teammate. But I think Charles Leclerc would be a close second for me. I think Charles Leclerc would be a close second because to keep that Ferrari there in third, I think has been impressive. And then Gasly. I think Gasly would be right up there as well. So, Russell is now 9.8 seconds behind Perez. Last time across the lap, he did a 14 flat. Perez did a 15.1. There's about 10 laps to go, 10 or 11 laps, and he's just under 10 seconds. So he's going to need a second every lap if he wants to get past Perez. Because if he ends up behind Perez, I think that would have been a silly pit stop from Mercedes. So we'll see. Piastri has closed the gap a little bit to Charles Leclerc, but we've seen this story before and we know how it ends. Piastri hasn't quite had the pace to get past Charles Leclerc today, so even if he gets within DRS, I don't think he'll be able to get past. It's going to be very difficult for Hulkenberg to stay in the top 10 on those tyres. Very difficult. So what are we thinking here? What are we thinking? We're thinking. See, Piastri, he flies to deceive. He's like, wait. I thought he was closing, and then Charles Leclerc's just like, get out of here. You're not coming through. Oh, what's this graphic? Overlaid on the track. Look at that. Oof. We've reached the future. I didn't like that red outline, but the rest of it was fine. Hamilton, out of nowhere, second a lap quicker than George Russell. They just did a 13.8, fastest lap of the race. Where's he got that from? Well, he's just a second quicker than George. He's only 2.3 behind now, out of nowhere. What? George must have been in traffic. He must have been. Yeah, Alonso's going to breeze past Nico Hulkenberg there. Oh, Hulkenberg's defended it, but he's going to have no chance on the exit. George must be in traffic. I actually don't have my track map up because I was in a bit of a rush today, so... Oh yeah, Russell is right behind Sargent and Tsunoda. Hamilton's still got to get past Tsunoda and Sargent as well, so... Yeah, I mean, Lewis has picked up the pace and George's pace has dropped off. It can't be entirely because of those back markers, can it? He was only passing 2 cars. I don't think Lewis will be able to catch George, surely. If he did, George would be fucking fuming. Like, if Lewis catches George, George would be absolutely livid. He'd be livid that he was pitted. So, no. He would be fucking fuming. And rightly so, like. Curbs, they're so serrated, aren't they? You can't really tell from the from the TV angles. When you actually look at them, you realize just how harsh those curbs actually are. 18 seconds. We're not used to seeing in the last few years Max being beaten by such a margin, are we? We've seen Max beating people by that margin, but we're not used to seeing that more recently. It's always, all the races have been pretty close, but I think ultimately once Norris got ahead of Max and broke DRS, they had much quicker race pace, didn't they? The biggest disappointment will be Oscar Piastri, I think, not getting past Charles Leclerc. Russell's not going to catch Perez, just so we're clear, because his pace has slowed massively. So he's not going to catch Perez. So I don't think the pit stop has worked, does it? They gave up track position unnecessarily. But also, I think Lewis obviously started 14th. George started 4th. I think Mercedes will be really disappointed with 7th and 8th. To get beaten by both Ferraris, one of which started quite far back. I think they'd be really disappointed with that. So it's not been a great day for Merck. Perez, he's kind of just fallen back and not really had the pace to match anyone, has he? For Ferraris, managed to get ahead of him. He's just about had enough pace to stay ahead of George Russell. I'm not sure he would have caught George Russell, to be honest, but Norris has had the pace all day. All day. Piastri's just got back into DRS on Charles Leclerc, by the way. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Has George Russell just burnt through his tyres or something? What's going on with George? Do you know what I will say? I'm not saying that's necessarily... I've lost my train of thought now. I don't know what I was going to say. What was I even talking about? Old man syndrome. Old man syndrome. Yeah, well, was I talking about George Russell? I think the George Russell pitting thing is interesting because um, I think if he stayed out on the hards, he would have stayed ahead of Perez, personally. We won't know. We don't know. Science would have got him, but I think he would have stayed ahead of Perez. I think I was talking about something else though, and I've lost my train of thought. I mean, it'll come back to me. It's going to come to me now. I'm not sure if it's the case in this race, but like at Spa and other circuits, people have spoken about how good George Russell was with his tyres. I personally have never experienced that. I think George, for the most part, while he does have a couple of occasions where it's good, I think we've seen numerous times in races where he burns through his tyres more than Lewis to the point where he has to pit. I feel like we've seen this numerous times. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened today, or anything, but I'm saying that happens a lot. And then he has one race where he makes the tyres last when apparently everyone didn't realize just how good these tyres were. So it wasn't like he necessarily did anything special. And people are like, oh, he's the tyre whisperer. Sorry, are we forgetting all the times he burns through tyres? Are we just ignoring that now? Like, what? I think Hamilton's settled for 8th now. Yeah, the pace has eased off. George has sorted himself out. George will get disqualified anyway. In fact, I think Hamilton's, I don't know if he's cooling or something because he just dropped a second. He was too far back anyway. He wasn't going to catch him. So there we have it. We're heading into the penultimate lap. Lando Norris obviously stand out. Verstappen second. That's a given. But Charles Leclerc, I think that's a really, really good performance from Charles Leclerc to get third. Piastri, I think, will be disappointed to end up 4th. Brilliant race from Carlos Sainz. Disappointing from Mercedes. Really good showing from Pierre Gasly. I think that's how I would sum up the Dutch Grand Prix. Armin van Buren on the checkered flag. Yeah, I mean, Hamilton's done all right, but I wouldn't list him as like one of the standout performers today. Ultimately, I don't think Russell has had a great race. To end up in 7th from 4th isn't great. But I don't know if it was his call to do that final pit stop or the team's. But it didn't work, did it? So, as we head into the final lap. But I think Sainz, great race. Charles Leclerc, brilliant race. Obviously Norris. And then Gasly, top tier. I've enjoyed watching Gasly. Gasly's had some really good defensive moves and some really good attacking moves. So, fair play. I mean, Norris going to win by almost a pit stop. That is wild. McLaren have built such a good car now. Imagine if they had this car at the beginning of the season, Norris might have been world champion this year. If they had this car at the start of the season. But they didn't. There he is. Lando Norris wins. Well, well, well. There we go. Oh my God, the smoke. I mean, you can't see a thing down the pit straight. That is dangerous as fuck for the people finishing behind. Holy shit. Yeah, that's really bad from Mercedes, but great race from Norris. Right. I'm going to love you and leave you, folks. I'm off to a family barbecue. Yeah, it wasn't as close as I was hoping it was going to be. I think, admittedly, I thought it was going to be a closer race. In the end, Max smashed it, Norris smashed it, didn't he? So, I mean, fair play. Monza next weekend. We'll obviously be back for that. There'll be a race review tomorrow, probably, on the YouTube channel. And then we will return for the Monza qualifying and Grand Prix next weekend. For the Twitch folk, I will be back tomorrow on Twitch. I am off to have a lovely barbecue. Off to Ireland for 2 weeks. We'll have a lovely time, Raging. Have a lovely time. And I'm going to have a lovely bit of food. And I will see you folks tomorrow. Goodbye.